My name is Sojo Alex. I'm a principal with Envision Strategies, and I'm super excited to bring the second year of series with our leadership and our, just a thought leadership from food service folks within our industry, in the higher education industry. So as part of the series, we love to hear stories and experiences from a lot of our clients and friends and share that with you. So my guest today is Diana Heeren from Trinity University. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, talk a little bit about what she does, and also her dining program. So, hey, Diana.
Hello, Sojo. Thank you for having me. I'm the Associate Vice President for Finance at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. We are a primarily residential college, so a big part of what we offer to our students is our dining program. And currently we have 15 dining venues on our campus, a mix of residential and retail locations.
So how many students live on campus, Diana?
Approximately 2,000 students reside on campus.
Diana, I know we just went through a whole, supplier sourcing process with you, and there's a lot of lessons learned, and I love the goals, how you incorporated the goals of the university throughout the process and still want to incorporate that. So we'd love to hear that story. But one of the big things throughout the process, Diana, that you and your team did really well was communication. Not only to the campus community, but to the leadership and equally enough to the students as well. So how do you connect with the campus community and how frequently and and along with that, how do you even connect to your staff? Who work within dining or otherwise?
Well, during the RFP process, we communicated frequently with our campus to give them updates as to where we were in the process. And we also included students. So we had 2 Trinity students serving on our RFP committee, and they were kind of our connection back to the student body and to our student government association to make sure that we were including their feedback and information into the RFP as it was being developed. And then also as we were selecting a supplier, we wanted to make sure that the students were seeing what they wanted to see as far as what a supplier could offer to Trinity University. Now that we are just wrapping up our transition, we're communicating through a newsletter, a weekly newsletter that goes out to the campus community. We held several town halls open to both students and employees so they could come and ask questions about what to expect in the fall semester. And then we also we have what we call change liaisons. So these are both students and employees who we use to bounce ideas off of. We may say, what do you think of this concept as opposed to a different concept, get their feedback. Things like that. And then they can go back to the campus community and share information about what to expect for the fall semester.
That's really change liaisons. That's the first time I've heard that. Usually it's the dining committee or the food service committee or whatever. So that's a really nice term to use for students who are actually making a difference, or even your staff who's making a difference. So over the years, how does that whole communication collaboration, how did you manage that with your supplier? In terms of, not only a part of communication, especially with the suppliers, that whole transparency piece as well. So how did you manage that with your suppliers and also even going forth?
We are meeting with the supplier on a weekly basis and just having open and honest conversations about the common goals for the program. Obviously, they want our program to be successful just as much as we do. And just by sharing ideas, being honest about what's working, what isn't working, and then creating action plans to make sure that any issues are being resolved. I'm the contract administrator for the dining program, but I'm working very closely with someone in student life. So the 2 of us are really the primary, I call us the contract liaison. So we're meeting with the supplier regularly just to talk about everything that kind of bubbles up or new ideas that we have as well.
To have those meetings, do you have KPIs, or was that part, and how do you go through that every week, or is it every quarter? How do you do that? And where do you get all that data from?
We do look at KPIs. We typically on a monthly basis, and
that's great.
Just kind of try to evaluate or analyze what's happening with those KPIs. One thing that I'm really excited about is we are using customer voice through Envision Strategies, which enables guests of our dining program to scan a QR code, and then they complete a short 5-question survey about their experience at that particular venue. So this isn't a survey to provide feedback on the overall dining program. This is very much geared to a specific location. That information is then put into a dashboard. And the really nice thing about that is that we can see trends over time. So let's say we had a problem with service speed at a retail location. We would talk about what is the root cause of that, create a plan to resolve it, and then hopefully over the next month or two, we would see that score improve. So that's something that we're excited about, as well as our supplier, because it just creates a very transparent view of what's happening on campus.
Going on to the next topic, regarding resource roadblocks, and of course, pre-pandemic versus, post-pandemic, what's happening if you had so many roadblocks. So what do you think, at least based on, where you are at Trinity, what are let's talk about maybe 3, if you have more, that's great, 3 resource limitations that you think are most notable roadblocks to running your dining program efficiently?
The biggest one that comes to mind is related to labor. So San Antonio has a very strong labor market, low unemployment rates. So that means we're competing against, restaurants, hotels, conference centers. We're all competing for the same set of dining associates. So we've had to get creative in recruiting them, making sure that we're proactive, explaining to them why working on a college campus is different than working at a restaurant, and trying to show them there are a lot of advantages to being on campus. We know that our dining associates love working with the students and creating connections with them. So if we can just get them to campus and have the interview, they usually are very excited about joining the program. Also, of course, making sure that the wages and benefits are in alignment with what other places in San Antonio are offering. Hospitality industry is the number 3 industry in San Antonio. So there are a lot of people out there who are in that business and are looking for maybe new opportunities at a college campus. Another limitation, this came up a lot during our transition as we were making capital improvements, furniture, equipment delays. We're still seeing that post-pandemic. So that forced us to get a little bit creative since some of our new equipment is delayed, moving equipment around, moving from one venue to another venue to make sure that we can open successfully by the first day of classes. Furniture, had to, reinstall some of the old furniture that we originally took out, and it was kind of sitting there ready for disposal. And luckily, we can bring it back into service.
That's amazing. So going back to labor, does a lot of the Trinity students work for dining as well?
Currently, no. We are hoping to increase the number of students who will work in our dining operation this fall semester. We are offering a marketing internship, and then we hope to just start recruiting students to work in some of the more exciting retail locations, especially on campus.
There are a lot of campuses. There are students like to work on campus and others not. And so it's just how much we depend on that. So that's great. As far as, I think, dining performance, I know this is your first time as a contract administrator, so there's a lot more that is probably more of a learning experience, and you already know what the university and your leadership wants as well. So how are you going to keep a track of that, and how are you going to communicate that with your leadership as well? What methods are you using, and also besides leadership, how do you communicate that with your staff or even students?
So I have a few things in mind that I'm planning to do this fall semester using Excel. I love Excel, so I'll be putting a lot of the information into Excel and creating graphs and dashboards so that when we meet with the supplier, again, putting everything on the table. Also, we have a dining advisory committee, and that includes key representatives across campus. So we will also be looking at that information, looking at retail sales, staffing levels, things like that to see how we're performing. And then also that information will be used to develop a summary report that would go to the university's executive leadership team to make sure they're kept in the loop on how, especially since this is our first year with a new supplier, we want to make sure that we are keeping everyone informed about how, their performance, and also just keeping them in the loop on what to expect maybe for the following year, some changes that we're already working on for the next year.
Tell me a little bit about the dining advisory committee. So those are not students or faculty or?
The way it's set up at Trinity, we have a dining advisory committee that's made up of currently 6 staff members, including myself. The students have their own student dining advisory committee, and they will meet with the supplier on a monthly basis and have conversations about what they like, what they don't like, changes they would want to see on campus. And then when a supplier meets with myself as the contract administrator, we would talk about what's possible. Maybe, we can't do it this year, but maybe we can make that change in the following year. So I know every school is different, and students actually suggested this. They wanted their own committee. They didn't want to sit in on our committee, and I'm fine with it. We'll keep in touch to make sure that we, are taught speaking the same language, and that we're not putting unrealistic expectations for the students as well.
So who are the key representatives in your dining advisory committee?
There's only 6 of us, so it's myself, someone from student life, admissions, because we really want to make sure that we are paying attention to the prospective students and parents who are visiting our campus. We also have someone from athletics as our student athletes. I think a third of our students are student athletes. So we just, again, want to pay particular attention to their needs, as well as, concessions. So there are a lot of things that fall under athletics. And then we have our staff member who oversees summer conferences and events. For 3 months out of the year, our dining program is 100% focused on summer conferences. And then we also have a major events planner who she organizes all of the major events for the president, board of trustees, alumni relations. And we really wanted her insight into kind of from a catering and special events view, what's working, what isn't, and how we can just continue to make the program better.
I really like this model only because it's not a session to come and say, these are all the things we want, but you're also communicating, okay, this is what sales looks like, this is what labor looks like, this is what's working, what's not working from our side, and kind of like collaborating through that process as well. So they have a better understanding of the business, and then you also have a better understanding. I really like that model, and that's very interesting. So Diana, this was an excellent conversation with you, and we're totally looking forward to seeing, how the new dining program, the new construction, everything, how that's all going to work out for you, and all the best. So thank you for being here today as our guest. If someone wants to know more about your dining program, where can they go find that?
They could find more information on our website. It is dineoncampus.com/TrinityU.
Once again, Diana, thank you for being here, and looking forward to seeing all the program and the success. So.
Thank you very much.